With the emergence of summer heat within the spring, sometimes that causes some of the spring crops to be a bit sensitive to that heat. So if you look kind of up and down the bed compared to the lettuce bed, the tulips look a bit wilty. It looks like something's wrong with them. And there could be. It just ultimately depends on what's in the soil or what it's impacted by. In my case, this is just a defense mechanism by turnips, just to minimize the amount of water loss when it is incredibly sunny and warm out. But as long as it perks back up in the morning, you know everything is fine. And this is all good simply because if the bed is warm, it has the underneath that geothermal to counterbalance the heat that it might be having on top with the cool that has it in the bottom. That isn't so nice when it gets into the tray. So one of the main reasons why I put it into the corner, one, we don't get much sun there, so we don't really grow too much. But two and foremost, it doesn't get as much sun, so when these trays get that amount of sun with the heat associated with it, it doesn't end up killing these. Just like I said with the crops, if it gets too hot on top, the roots are fine because they're underneath, they're in the shade, there's no sun on it, and it's cooler beneath where the roots are. So although hot, it is neutralized by the cold. With the trays, not only are they black, but they're also isolated for any sort of sink to kind of dissipate that heat somewhere else. So as these trays get hot, the black absorbs it, the heat will keep building up, and that heat is transferred into those little soil plugs that have the roots into it. Eventually, all of that plug will then evaporate all the water because the heat going into it, and you can very quickly lose these plugs very quickly depending on how hot it is that day. So a lot of times people want to harden off the trays before you take your seedlings and transplant, but I've lost more than enough trays simply because I wasn't paying attention to the temperature, and it just roasted the little seedlings and they were done within a few hours. So it doesn't take much to evaporate, although you think in the morning that it's fairly moist and should be fine. Literally all it takes is a few hours of intense sun to evaporate that water, and that's simply because it heats up, but it has nowhere to put that heat besides keep absorbing more and more, and that more and more goes into the soil, then goes into the water, evaporates off, and then once it doesn't have anything else, it dies very quickly. So when you do try to harden off or put trays out before you do the transplanting, just be aware that those trays are incredibly sensitive to any sort of summer-like heat in the spring, and you'll want to shade them as much as you can with just the right amount of sun, or else you run the risk of ruining those trays.